Okay, we're recording. Good evening, everyone. Chad here from Strongman Gold Coast and from the ASA, Australian Strongman Alliance. Bringing you an update. Been about 6 weeks, sorry. Been a bit busy running the Australian Strongman Alliance from a couple of weeks ago. Thought I'd better get one up and running again as it's been a little while and I head overseas this week for work. So I'll try and cram a little bit in for you. Obviously, there's been some few things. I've run my first ever nationals, and the ASA, Australian Strongman Alliance, has had its first ever nationals. Feedback seems to have been really good. Only negative feedback I've heard so far is I took a little bit long to get it started. I think we were delayed by about 20 minutes to kick off, which was my fault for not testing the sound equipment for the live stream feed. But we got off and running without any hitches once we got started going and kicked off at about 20 past 10. You can watch the whole event live on our YouTube channel, on the Strongman Gold Coast YouTube channel. It's about 6 hours long in high definition, 30 frames a second, 720p, which is about as good as your high definition television you're looking at home. Now, updates from Arnold's here in Australia. Let's have a look. We've got big announcement yesterday. They've confirmed and sent out all the invitations to those who qualified for the Arnolds in the USA. Very, very well aspired to event in the USA for amateur strongman athletes. So we've got a few very well known names heading up there, and these are the people that placed first, second and third in their classes at the Arnolds in March this year in Melbourne. Kia Rachel Woodland, Lee Holland Keane in the lightweight women, Joanne Gregan, and Alira Verity, Joanne Gregan, Rebecca Buckley and Amanda Allen in the middleweight women, Martha DeVita, Bex Pryor and Rachel Smith in the open women. In the 80 kilo men, Carl Sherry, Murray Joyce and Cam Taylor. Some more news on Carl Sherry later too. Under 90 kilo men, David Palmer, Rob Ward and Jake Taylor. Rob Ward coming over from the UK to compete and take that position. Then in the 105 men, Jiri Tkadelchik from Croatia, I think, Tyson Morrissey and John Stefan Koroboof. And then in the open men, Rongo Keane, Jordan Steffens and Travis Wieck. Also on the weekend to Arnold Updates, we had the Arnold Hong Kong, where we had a few from Australia head over. Lee Shaw normally competes in the under-90s, won the Australasia's most powerful man and woman, the under-90s this year. Big Presser went over there and won 4 out of 5 events. Coco went over there and stepped up a class as well. Competed in the open men, managed to tie for first in the stones. I think he got 7 reps at 145 kilos. Also tied for second. Second on the deadlift, second on the yoke and farmers, and second on the log for reps at 125 kilos, where he got 6 reps. But ended up coming third overall with only 2.5 points behind the leader, or 3.5 points behind the leader, or 3 points behind the leader. So he pushed them all away, even though he was giving away roughly 60 kilos on the guy that beat him. Then we've got the under 80 kilo and under 90 kilo men. We didn't actually have any Australians head over for that, but in the women's we had, in the middleweight women, we came first, second and fourth. First being Lee Holland Keane from New South Wales, her mother in third place, coming in there, and then Jenna Gray from up here in Queensland coming fourth. Open women, Rachel Smith, who had a real tough one. No one turned up to compete against her, so guaranteed the win, but sadly had a slip while there flipping the tyre and managed to damage her knee. Waiting to hear back the results of her scans and testing at the moment. Hopefully it's not too bad for her. The other people with problems was Eben Roux. Put up a not so pretty photo of him today, all dressed in his underwear, in his underwear, after he's just come out of surgery to reattach his bicep to the bone. Here he is here, looking as beautiful as he normally does. So he'll have a few months of recovery to come up, but that's just today. He's had that reattached. So good luck in your recovery, Eben. We're looking forward to having you back. World's Strongest Man was probably the biggest thing this week. Eben obviously came back from the heats from that. Colin Wolfe also came back from there. Some very, very strong athletes, despite Zadrunas not being there, Lalas not being there, Wildauer, even Dimitar wasn't there. They're all over in the Hong Kong Pro Show. Zadrunas carrying a back injury and possibly not performing as well as he could be at the moment. Thanks to Starting Strongman though, we've got all the updates and points. First is probably not too much of a surprise for you for World's Strongest Man 2016 is Brian Shaw, 53 points. Only 2 points behind him, Hafthor Bjornsson. Then in third place, Eddie Hall. Now Eddie Hall, possibly the most impressive showing there overall in coming into third place, because the very first event he came last so only got 1 point out of a possible 10 available, but then worked his way back up after 6 events to be in 3rd place. Now, the reason why he did miss that and come last is what I understand is he's dislocated 2 of his fingers at that stage and managed to dislocate a 3rd during further competition. So amazing effort from him. I guess with a frame carry and having dislocated fingers, the grip is really going to suffer. So other events were pressing. He matched rep for rep with Hafthor Bjornsson on the circus barbell, where they got 8 reps each at 160 odd kilos. And even in the stones, Hafthor Bjornsson managed to beat Shaw, but Eddie Hall there, certainly a very impressive showing, despite people thinking he's just a deadlifter. No doubt in the next year or two, I think he'll reach his goal of being world's strongest man. The other big name that popped up was Konstantine Janashia. You can see him here in 4th place. But after day 1, you can also see it on the day 1 results on startingstrongman.com, Konstantin was in 1st place after 2 events. A relatively unknown name, but a very big guy, and obviously incredibly strong. So he came 2nd in the frame carry. 1st place Mateusz Kaliskowski, well known for coming 3rd place in his first pro US Arnolds, and 4th place this year after 2 years ago winning the amateur open heavyweight men's at the Arnolds in the USA. Now, Konstantin, if you want to find some information about him, Phil Burgess was on the ball and interviewed him on his website, vikingstrength.com. Interviewed Konstantin back in 2013, so 3.5 years ago. He obviously spotted some talent in the guy, and going by how he performed in his first final at World's Strongest Man, there's no doubt we're going to be seeing a lot more of him in the future. Now, updates from us, the Australian Strongman Alliance, and obviously from the Nationals. The big one is we've had a bit of a change of the committee. Venetia Bachi, who was our secretary, has had to step down a bit because of her workload. She'd recently moved cities from Victoria to Mackay and just hasn't been able to commit the time, so she's stepped back a bit, though is still very involved. She even came down and volunteered at the Australian Strongman Alliance Nationals and then even filled in and competed on the day. So there's no doubt we'll still see her around. But Carl Sherry from South Australia, winner of the under 80 kilo men's at Arnold's this year, has stepped up to be secretary and will be helping us out. He runs the South Australian Strongman and has run several events under the ASA already and is the South Australian state rep for us. So make him feel welcome, and you'll see a lot more of him in competing and in running events. Thanks, Carl, for stepping up. Now, as for the Nationals, if you check AustralianStrongmanAlliance.com, the score sheets are up there for the wheelbarrow, the max log, the keg toss, the circuit dumbbell, and then finally the deadlift knockout, and all the final scores and places are there. Some brilliant photos have been put up by Cynthia Hine Photography, my lovely girlfriend. Very nice of her to volunteer again and take some amazing photos, possibly some of the best photos in the sport. We were lucky to have good weather all day, and you can see that if you check out the live stream. I've even put together a 2-minute time lapse of the event, which was about 3,000 photos taken from about 8.5 hours from about 7:30 in the morning. Better turn that volume down for you, sorry. But yeah, we had about 8.5 hours of footage there put together. Thanks again to Tangalooma Island Resort for helping us put it on, and Nutrition Warehouse for providing over $2,000 worth of prizes for 1st, 2nd and 3rd place. Loaded Lifting as well, over $2,000 worth of prizes for 1st, 2nd and 3rd place. Then of course the winners from each class, 1st place, so that's 8 positions, go over to the Asia Pacific Strongman Championships, thanks to our friend Tawfiq up in Singapore. So the competitors last year had a fantastic time, and actually the Aussies, you can see the Aussie crew here, they took home 4 they won 4 out of 5 classes. Rongo Keane took 1st in the open men's, Alana 1st in the open women's, Peanut in the under 90 men's, Wayne Ryan Jr. 1st in the under 105 men's as well. Whoops, I just managed to press the wrong button there. Hopefully it goes back. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the other big things I wanted to talk about were some of the records and again the pressing. I obviously focus a lot on the pressing in these videos. I think pressing for Australian competitors is really important. It's probably the one thing we are lacking in the most. We've got some big deadlifters, we've got some big stone lifters, but at the moment we're having trouble matching it with those who are pressing the big weights around the world. Biggest log lift in the country at the moment is set for about 2012, I think, by Warwick Brandt when he's competing in the World Log Lift Championships at 182.5 kilos. Current competing competitors, the best I think we've got is, let's see if I've got it up on here. No, I don't, but the best best log lift at the moment, I think we're looking at about 170 kilos by both Eben Roux on the Leviathan and Rongo Keane also matching 170 kilos. That's according to the records on strongmangoldcoast.com. But here we have big Travis Wieck, less than a year in the sport already, and we've got a massive press on him. Here he is with 170 kilos on the log. Now, obviously the hard part for him here, he's pressing on grass, something that most people have never done and no log records have currently been set on, and you can see how close he got to the lift there. So Trav, no doubt when he's on some solid ground and not had some other events under his belt, probably at Static Monsters this year, I reckon you'll see a 170, even 175 out of him. Will that put him at the top of the lifters at the moment in the country? I'm not sure, but most likely. But I know that Colm and Rongo are definitely going to be chasing those figures at the Static Monsters 2016 on the 27th of November. Another big presser, the under-90s again seem to keep producing them. We've got Rahn Deuce has just opened his Valeo Movement Academy down in Victoria. I think it's 3 hours out of Melbourne, a place called Wangaratta or something. But he came second in Australasia's Most Powerful Man and Woman last year, went up to Worlds under-90s last year as well in Norway. But here he is with 142.5 kilo axle clean and press. Now, I know a few of the traditionalists are not going to like that he lifts it off his belt for the secondary part of the clean. For me, as an event promoter, I'm not too worried about it. Look at that solid split jerk there to make it happen. But Rahn normally sits around about 90 kilos. But as for the belt lift, I'm not too worried about it as a promoter. There's a few reasons for that. As I believe it lessens the chance of injuries. It takes the loads off the biceps and the wrists and the grips. Also, it does tend to produce higher weights lifted, which is what the crowd wants, which is what the athlete wants. So I know obviously the people that are traditionalists in the sport and the lifts shouldn't come off the belt. In the axle, I'm probably more favouring that they should come off the belt. In a log lift though, I'm all for it. Don't want the log to come off the belt in the clean. The other big press obviously was Shane Reilly, under 90 kilo guy. I showed you him a while back with the 90 kilo dumbbell at about 95 kilos body weight. He also hit the 137.5 kilo log at the same body weight. But here he is, weighed in at under 90 for the ASA Nationals back in August. Loaded up with 140 kilos in the bar. This is actually his second attempt at it. He failed it the first time round after about 3 goes. There he is, a very small split jerk, hit 140 kilos at only 90 kilos body weight to set the new Australian record by about 9 kilos. Straight after him was very well known static monster himself, Andrew Peanut Stewart, giving Reilly a big hug there. Peanut came in and also attempted it twice. He opened on 130, I think Reilly opened on 125 on the day. Just after this, I know he's putting his wraps on, we might not see it at this stage. You can see Big Trav on the left screen attempting 160 odd kilos there, 140 kilos there. But yeah, Peanut also with 140 on the bar gets very close. But I think we'll see him hit that number, maybe more, when we're on solid ground on the indoor stadium of the Static Monsters on November 27th. So after that, we then updated our records. Oh, I should mention also that Peanut also had a scorcher of a day in the deadlift knockout at the end. He ended up pulling 320 kilograms, which is a new under 90 kilo Australian deadlift record, and then coming second on the day just behind Shane Reilly. They had a fantastic competition all the way through the day. So log lifting records were put up. Shane Reilly into first place at 140 kilos, which actually, going by all the Strongman Gold Coast log lifting record, puts him in 15th place outright across all of the Australian Strongman log lifting records, just behind Coco with 145 and a few others in there as well in the heavyweights. Alex Morgalakis at 150. But yeah, you can check out all the records on strongmangoldcoast.com. If you haven't submitted anything you've lifted, they're all here. strongmangoldcoast.com. You can click on over here, Strongman Records, and you can submit your records under any of these menus, or immediately on the left-hand side here, we've got submit your axle overhead, submit your Atlas stone lift, submit your log lift, 18-inch deadlift, and submit your regular deadlift record. We've also got circus dumbbells available in there as well now, so monster dumbbells, so you can submit those there. But I highly recommend you submit those lifts because we need to find out who's the top 10 in each state as well as in the country. So that's going to give us 80 records around the country for each weight class. And we've got 8 weight classes and we've got 6 lifts recorded. So if you work that backwards, we're at about 3,000 different records we're looking for to be recorded at the moment. I'll look at actually adding a yoke records listing in the near future to probably a 10-meter distance. If you're looking at any other particular records I should be adding, please let me know, but we desperately need people to start submitting anything they've lifted in competition so we have a reference base for not only yourselves to look at records, but for everyone to look at those records in the future, and then know where their goals are and who they have to be chasing, not just in their state, but nationally. What else have I got listed here? Oh yeah, upcoming events in Australia. So this weekend, 2 ASA events. We've got Strongman Tasmania's Strongest in North Tasmania, and then the Southern Strength Series Round 3 by Carl Sherry, who we spoke about earlier. But the unique one coming up in a couple of weeks in September, we have Best in the West, an all-women's competition run by Joanne Gregan from Be Strong Fitness, I think the gym's called. Sorry, Joe, you're going to hate me for not remembering the name of your gym. But yeah, Be Strong Fitness Geelong. There it is. It's even listed there. September 11th at 10 a.m. September 12th at 1 a.m. I don't know why that timing is 1 a.m. Sorry. But they've got some great prizes and fantastic equipment from Stand or Submit. And I no doubt it's going to be a brilliant day and one of the first all-women's competitions in the country. I think Jordan Steffens runs the Nike after the Greek goddess name. He runs the Nike Strong Women's event once a year as well. Regional New South Wales, we've got the Static Beasts, a qualifier for Static Monsters New South Wales. WA Strongest Man and Woman October. Brisbane North Barbell Strongman Round 3 in the first week of November. I think also in the last week of October we have a deadlift comp at Brisbane, PTC Brisbane. And then of course the big one for all of us, we've got the Static Monsters. So that's in Wisconsin, USA, Gold Coast, here run by me and Coco. Melbourne, run by Strong Melbourne. Macarthur by the team from PDC Macarthur. Adelaide by Carl Sherry again, in the South Australian Strongman team. Tasmania by Greg Young and Chris Billette from Tasmanian Strongman team. Canberra from the famous Andrew Fraser, who came 3rd place in his Canberra Strongest Man on the weekend. And Auckland by Dean Sinclair, the Fighting Knight. You'll probably see him floating around Facebook in some knight and armour. He does strange medieval fighting stuff. But that's the 8 events we currently have confirmed. We're looking for a couple more, likely to be confirmed in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully have 10 to 12 events all run all around Australia in 92 days, 27th of November. Around Australia and the world. So we'll not only have national scorecards, we'll have international scorecards for you to compare your log lifts and deadlifts. So for all the information on Static Monsters, just head to staticmonsters.com. We've got all the information here you could possibly need. So the listing of events where you can click on Australia, New Zealand, USA, or all the events. Event resources are up here. We've got weight classes, equipment regulations, the rules, the logos and designs if you are promoting your own event, details of how to stream your own sports event, some photos from last year's event. But if you go here, we've got some information from the previous events, the image library from last events, the peak lifts video from the last event. But have a look, there's more than enough information there. If not, please buzz me. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So that's my update for the past 6 weeks. If you're looking forward to any more information or details in the future, let me know and I'll try and talk about it or cover it for you. Thank you very much for listening in this time round. Have a good weekend.